Welcome to Main Street Minds with your host, Amish Munshi. This is where industry leaders and seasoned pros share their secrets to success beyond limits. Let's dive in.
Hello and welcome to Main Street Minds. Today we have a very special guest, Alec, over here with us, and I'm very excited to learn about a new region. I haven't, there's only like 5 states that I have not done business in still now. And unfortunately, like Omaha is one of them. So looking forward to doing more business over there and expanding my portfolio and doing and visiting and having fun. It's a great state. I've traveled through it, I've visited it. I love the state and looking forward to doing more business. And Alec, tell us more about the region, about you, and when can I come over?
Yeah, I mean Nebraska is in the very middle of America. It's a very awesome state. I mean, everyone is just very nice people here. I mean, the nice thing about Omaha is it's growing a lot too. So it's not everyone thinks of Nebraska, they think of farmland and cornfields, and that's not all of what Omaha is. There's a lot of it near it, but I think for the most part, Omaha is a growing city and it's very centrally located. So yeah, a lot of people have been through here or been, close by or have, had a flight through. So it's a great city to raise a family, and the real estate is doing great right now too. So it's staying pretty steady.
And it's, I think the first time I drove through Nebraska, through Omaha, and I was like, the city just would not end. Like it's so wide. The
Yeah.
entire urban area is one of the longest or one single metropolitan area that I've ever driven through. So it's not rural for sure. Nowhere close.
Yeah, no, and Omaha is like a grid. Everything is like X's. So everything is just like it's tic-tac-toe around here. But yeah, it's a very large city. It's very spread out. There's so much land here. So that's what makes Omaha pretty cool for sure.
Great, great. So tell us more about you. Like how did you get started? Like what got you interested in real estate?
Yeah, so I was born and raised here in Omaha, so I've always lived here. And kind of real estate kind of runs in my family. My growing up, my dad had some properties, and I kind of just while I was in school would help him with things, putting them on Zillow, doing whatever miscellaneous stuff I could do to help or helping clear out a property if a tenant moved out. So I was always interested in it. And kind of when I got out of high school, I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do. So I took a couple years of a gap year and just worked in the trade. So I did HVAC, and that really helped me get into doing construction. And so just seeing like new construction, residential, commercial, really enjoyed it. After a couple years, I decided, I wanted to go to school. And I knew more of what I wanted to study. I got out of high school. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to study. So I went into college here in Omaha, the University of Nebraska, Omaha, and studied business and real estate. What I really liked about Omaha was they had the real estate program. So while I was,
Wow.
getting my degree in business, I was able to minor in real estate, and I was able to knock out pretty much all my classes here at the University of Nebraska, Omaha. And I loved my professors. I loved everything they taught about real estate. We would bring a lot of people who, had rental properties in Omaha or developments in Omaha come and speak to the class. And that's when I was like, hey, like this is something I really want to get into. So while I was in college, I interned here at Berkshire Hathaway with the Forehead Skradski Lures team, which Skradski's in my last name. My cousin, she's actually here. She's been with Berkshire for, over 15 years. So interned with her for a year and just absolutely loved it. I loved how, every day is different, every transaction is different. And you get to talk to people every day and help people move in to houses. And I mean, being a single family residence is just such an emotional purchase, and it's such a big purchase. I mean, one of your biggest purchases you'll have in your life for most people, and it's just exciting. So that's kind of how I got into it. And before I joined Berkshire, I actually, bought a house and then had a couple investment properties too. And that just, it made me more eager to get into real estate as a whole, and has, now that I'm doing it now just for my business. So it's pretty great.
Yeah, amazing. So I think there was I don't think there was a start. Like you have been right from birth, you have been doing this for like your entire life. Like this is all that you have been like passionate about, and I can feel the energy saying, hey, this is something that you love, and you're like really committed to doing this.
Yeah, no, I love helping people. And I think the best thing about kind of what we do as realtors is just going through the whole process and teaching everyone, but also just seeing how happy people get when they're able to move into their first home or their dream home or their home with all their kids. And you can meet some of the kids and have a good banter with them. And it's relationships that last more than a transaction. Like it lasts, forever. And we have a client appreciation event actually this weekend where I'll see a bunch of clients that, after this first year I've been able to meet and have great experiences with. So yeah, it's exciting every day for sure.
Great. Yeah. So tell us the difference between having a 3-year degree in real estate versus the like the education that we get is really, really great. I always wanted to like learn more about just having the 40 to 100 hours of education that is the minimum requirement for the licensing versus a 3-year degree, right? Like what extra do you learn with that? Like,
I mean, you learn so much and you get to take so many different real estate classes into like your principles to, development. So I think that was a huge help in me getting into real estate because those courses you take just to get your real estate license.
yeah.
I mean, it's a lot of information, but until you're in the real estate game, it's not super helpful, I would say. I mean, there's so much more that you learn, but being in those real estate classes through college, you learn like what a purchase agreement is, how to buy a home, the steps you take, and you learn a lot more at the university through a couple of years doing those classes than you do through your, regular training for real estate. So I thought that was a huge thing. That was pretty important. And why I wanted to get into real estate so quickly, and it just helped me right away learn like how like I was able to learn so much more before I was licensed that really just helped me just right off the bat.
Nice, nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and like, does do any of the credits from that 3-year degree transfer over to for the licensing requirement?
Yeah, they all transferred. I think there was only one class I had to take before I was able to test for my license. So they all transferred, which made it just, I mean, I was paying for, university education
Yeah.
to get a degree while my real estate license at the same time. I knocked two birds in one stone. So yeah, they all transferred. I think I only had to take one class kind of going in. I think it was like a 4-hour class in person, and then I was able to test, and yeah, it was pretty easy.
Sweet. That definitely helps. And does the last question for the degree question, does it also like kind of go into the lending aspects of real estate? Does it like and the commercial real estate as well?
Yeah, so it definitely talks. It's not just so the real estate credits that we would get were towards, development, commercial, residential. I wouldn't say, I mean, you would see a lot of the financing side. I wouldn't say it would be directly with lending, but
Sure.
you would definitely see what it would take of like what a 20-year mortgage was versus a 30-year, or, a 10% down versus 20% down. You would see all of those numbers. So I think all in all, you would kind of get, you know, all different types of ways you could in residential, commercial,
Mhm.
or kind of the numbers. Because we there's also we could take an appraisal class. That was another class that counted towards your degree. That has nothing to do on, well, it has something to do with real estate, but not as a realtor. We don't do any appraisals, but it's good to know that information because you deal with appraisals on every single transaction
That
mostly.
it means
So
a lot. Like, I mean, there's just so much that hinges on the valuation of the property. It's just crazy.
exactly.
Yeah, both for the sellers and the buyers. Like everyone through the transaction wants the valuation to be higher, and the appraiser is like sitting there saying, "I have to be fair." And
Yeah.
yeah, I love what they do, but I'd probably never want to be an appraiser. It's just
No, it's
pressure.
a lot of numbers, more numbers than I want to deal with in a day.
When I look at the report, I'm like, oh, I call them up saying, I need the report tomorrow. And when I look at the report, I was like, there's like 15,000 numbers that you went through in a day.
Yeah, and it came up with the same price that our buyers got. So I just didn't have to do all the work.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So tell us more about you. Like what are some of your hobbies? What do you do?
Yeah, so I played hockey all my life. So I actually, after high school, moved to Minnesota for 3 years. So I played hockey growing up all through my life, played soccer, but my main sport was hockey. And then nowadays, I love to go ski. I mean, Nebraska's right next to Colorado. So, I
Uh,
mean, it's about an 8 hour drive and I can be in the mountains. It's not the easiest drive, but I love to be outdoorsing. I love dirt bike riding. We were a big dirt bike family too, but anything that's outside, I love running. I try to run twice a week, twice or three times a week, and then also, work out. So I just like to stay active. I love to travel in my free time. I'm
mhm.
planning a trip over the holidays because real estate, I mean, that's kind of our lower season. We're not as busy, so I'm planning a trip, I think, to Europe over the holidays. So I just love, being around people and being active and, traveling. Those are my biggest hobbies.
Nice, nice, cool. And you said right now you're able to do like it looks like multiple different things, right? Like with travel and with skiing. And do you
Yeah.
generally like travel with family or like?
Yeah, friends, family. I think this one trip that I'm doing in the holidays, I think I'm gonna do a backpack trip and I'm gonna go see some friends, then maybe do my own thing for a couple weeks or a couple days. So I kind of just like living on the edge and I'm an adventurer, so I love to travel and kind of, just see the world. And you only have one life. So I work hard, the amount of time that I'm here in Omaha and I think sometimes you just got to get away and also work hard, play hard kind of thing. So
Oh
that's
yeah.
kind of my mentality.
Yeah, that's life is worth living, right? Like there is
Yep.
only so much that we can get done, and most people, I would say, like real life is about 30 to 40 years. Like by the time you're able to like have the freedom and have the money and the ability to decide what you want to do and actually do it, you're probably in your 20s. By the time you have to let other factors decide on your hobbies, you're probably in like 70s or 80s. So the life is only
Exactly.
right in between that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of, especially my older mentors that I have around me, I think their biggest regret is not, I think if they do have any regrets, the biggest regret they do say is they didn't travel as much as they would. And I think every time I've been traveling, I've never regretted it. So that's one thing that I really try to do because real estate is a very 24/7 thing. I mean, you're working Monday through Sunday, nights, weekends, holidays. So when you do have some time that you can get away, I think you should because I mean, some people just need a mental break, and I think you don't want to overwork too hard where you don't like your job, so you definitely got to take that time off.
Yeah, many times we kind of step away and we come back and we are like, okay, things didn't just fall apart. It survived. Obviously, taking
Exactly.
a longer term time off will have impact to the
Mhm.
business, to the client's expectations and their what how their whole client experience. But a short break doesn't. It's not going to kill you. Like in
Nope.
times I speak with a lot of hardworking people and they're like, I cannot take break. I cannot delegate this thing. And most of the times, if you take a week off, just stay somewhat connected, be on emails, be on text messages.
Yeah.
It's everything is going to be fine.
Yeah, and in real estate, you always have your phone. So if I have my phone, I mean, I can always work if I'm on some type of vacation. But I think, yeah, I was kind of that same way when I started, 24/7, which is great, and you're gonna do good if you do that. But I think I'm on a team, so I think I have backup if I leave, and I think they kind of are like, hey, you need to take a break sometimes because you're working a little too hard. But
Yeah. Perfect. So tell us more about kind of the market right now. Like, are you seeing more buyers, more sellers? How is
yeah.
the market holding up?
Yeah, no, I think Omaha, I mean, since COVID, it's been kind of a seller's market as we talked about, but now we're seeing it's definitely a buyer's market. We're seeing a lot of listings here in Omaha, more than we have for a while now. And there's not as many buyers. I mean, interest rates are still ticking down a little bit, which is good, but there hasn't been a big drop where it's gotten a lot of buyers to flood in. So we're just seeing, a lot of houses staying on the market longer now. We're seeing price reductions, seller closing costs or sorry, buyers closing costs getting paid for. So we've kind of seen a big a switch from, even last year. It's kind of the market wasn't exactly like it is now, but we're seeing a lot more buyers be able to have a little bit more flexibility.
Hmm.
But we're seeing a lot of listings though, and things are going. I would say for the most part, anything under 400,000 is still, pretty active for the most part, just because you got that price range of, first time home buyers, investors. I mean, you got so many people, and then anything above 400 is probably going a little bit slower right now. But I mean, the market's still pretty good. It's just I think a lot of people are still kind of on the sidelines. Is kind of what we're seeing here in Omaha.
Yeah, yeah. And what would be your recommendations to both buyers and sellers? Like, kind of sell, like maybe one at a time. Like, how do you prepare a seller in today's market?
Yeah, I mean, preparing a seller now is so much different than a year ago. And what I would say personally is you want to price your house right, and you probably with the market right now want to price your house a little bit lower than market value
Hmm.
because we're seeing a lot of buyers have all these, things that they're able to do, and it's not as competitive. We're not seeing bidding wars. So you want to price it so you can get the highest amount of money you can out of it, but not so it sits on the market. You don't want to price it too high or it's going to sit. And so what I would tell a seller right now is whatever, your house is, market value right now, let's price it a little bit lower so we make sure this thing gets going, especially going into the holidays. You don't want it sitting, for a month, 2 months, 3 months, because it's just
Yeah.
you're gonna have to price drop, and that's the worst thing as a seller that you can do. So I think the biggest thing for a seller is just figuring out the price and sticking
Yeah.
with it.
Yeah, and many times sellers are like, just by listing it higher, they're going to get higher. Not really, right? Market is going to
Yeah.
decide the price. I've seen houses even in today's market. I think just I don't remember the exact numbers, but I think it was listed for 1.5 million, sat for like 3 or 4 months,
Hmm.
listed it down to like 850, and I'm like, is something just wrong with this place? I got like a few buyers who are like, I want to see this place. And I call up the realtor and she's like, we have like multiple offers and we are probably accepting something tomorrow. And it actually sold for 1.4.
See, that's the biggest thing with price dropping like that. I always tell people, especially if your house, we know in the first 2 weeks, how your house is going to do by the
Yeah.
traction we have, the amount of, private showings we've had or offers. And,
Hmm.
if we don't see any of those in the first 2 weeks, I mean, we're probably, if we don't have any, what I always tell everyone, if we don't have any traction, no offers, no people coming through, we need to, probably drop around 10%. If
Yeah.
we're having good traction, just no offers and it's been 2 weeks, maybe it's more like 5%. But yeah, you got to have a good enough price drop to bring more buyers in. Because if you're at, 300,000 and you price drop 5,000 to a consumer's
Yeah.
eyes, that's not a big enough drop for it
Yeah.
to really do much. You got to have a $20,000 drop for people to flood in. And then, if you have a big enough drop and maybe your house is worth more than an amount that it dropped, but if you get 10 more buyers in that you weren't going to get dropping at 5,000,
Yeah.
then that's when your house can escalate and you can get the price you want out of it.
Yeah, and obviously there's like always two ways to do this, right? We list it very aggressively and get a lot of people interested.
Mhm.
I think that's a better strategy than trying to get the maximum and like keep reducing slowly. I mean, it's just going to be a irritating, frustrating experience for
Yeah.
everyone.
Well,
For
in the market we're in, it's hard to inform a seller that because we've seen the past 3, 4 years
That's true.
people get such
And
high prices for their houses and be in these bidding wars. So
yeah,
it's really hard, that's why you really got to talk to your clients and just,
yeah.
explain the market and just make sure they know what they're getting into and keeping them informed because it
Yeah.
is a different market now.
Yeah, and it's very important to have that rapport and relationship and with the seller and having somebody as reputed as you are, who's bringing in just so much value to the table and like just listen to listen to the professionals, and it's not a one-off transaction, right? For us, like we are doing this all day long. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. And just flipping the coin, being a buyer. So if I'm a buyer, like what would you recommend? Like what?
Yeah, if you're a buyer, and I tell this to everyone, especially if someone, messaged me, I'm like, buy as soon as you can.
Mhm.
Because historically, since real estate has started, it's always gone, up. So
Yeah.
I'm a firm believer of there's never a bad time to buy.
Hmm.
The quicker you buy, the better. But also you wanna strategically, set yourself up so you're not gonna fail. You want to work with the right people, and just be informed and just ask questions. I mean, the biggest thing as a buyer, especially if you're a first time buyer, no question is a dumb question. So
Yeah.
you just got to make them feel comfortable. And I think the biggest thing for buyers in this market, what I would tell them is you got a lot more flexibility and it's not as competitive. I mean, depending on the price range, but you're gonna have more time than you would in, kind of a seller's market or a summer market or
Yeah.
just a busier season. So I think that's the biggest thing. We just tell buyers, we're gonna be pretty close these next couple months if we're looking for houses because we're gonna be talking all the time and we're gonna,
Yeah.
inform you and you're gonna run comps on houses. But yeah, just working with the right agent that's gonna be there for you every step of the way and just keep in contact and yeah.
Yeah. And a lot of buyers are like, many times they wait saying, hey, I'm going to wait for the rates to come down, or I'm going to wait for the prices to fall.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen. Like,
No, and I always tell them, I'm like, everyone else is doing the same thing. And once they drop, then that's when it's going to get competitive. And the best
yeah.
thing about rates is, you can lock in at a 7% now, but we've seen rates are dropping. They're closer to 6 now. You can refinance and get that rate, if they do drop a lot. So I think I agree with you. I think, you need to get in soon. And just because you're looking more at the interest rates, I mean, everyone's looking at that for the most part.
Yeah.
I have a lot of buyers who are saying, I'm looking for rates to drop, after next year. Well, what if they don't?
The property
And
prices.
what if they do? What if they drop to 5%? Well, then we're gonna flip markets and it's gonna be a seller's market again. And you're gonna pay 10 more or 20 more thousand for the house than you would have right now. So
And it's still possible to do the 5% payment. Like we just figure it out and we bake into the numbers in a way that it
yeah.
can get the 5% if that's the
Yeah,
goal.
and if we get, $10,000 in seller closing costs, let's buy down your rate so you
Yeah,
can, have that cheaper
exactly.
rate.
And a lot of first-time home buyers don't realize it. The amount of grants available to first-time home buyers, the benefits of down payment assistance programs, I think the government has done a pretty good job to help first-time home buyers in this difficult situation. There are loan programs that I've seen that I've never seen before, like
Yep.
25% down, no income documents. I'm like, are we going back to the crazy days?
Yeah, what's going Oh, I just had a VA buyer the other day and he was able to get in and they paid him $3,000 at closing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, that doesn't happen ever.
You got money
It's
to buy a house?
yeah, it's like I'm getting paid to buy a house and it wasn't a cheap house. And I was like, I mean, it's really cool how, yeah, what you can do and all the programs there are. And I think the biggest thing, my biggest complaint from university is us not getting access to more of those things and those programs and even
Yeah,
in the real estate s- uh the real estate minor that I was in,
yeah.
we still didn't learn about all those
And
programs.
unfortunately, it can't be taught because this is a forever moving target. For example, there is a 25,000 a down payment grant created by Santa Clara County. If they run out of money, that grant is gone. There
Yep.
will be a
Yep.
different grant that comes up, but
Yeah.
and there's another temporary program of $7,500 of a grant for anywhere in US if somebody's trying to buy a house. It's an interest-free loan that just gets paid off when you refi later, and so that's like free 7,500, and that 7,500 probably means a lot for a first-time home buyer, right?
Yeah.
Like it could pay for more than closing.
Yeah, and it could help them a lot in the long run. And I even tell people too, their first time home buyers, I'm like, just meet with a lender first. Just
Yeah,
meet with them and just see, because
it
you
has
may
to
be closer than you think. You think you're going to be a year out, you could be 3 months. You could start looking now. So I
be.
always say, go meet with a lender. It's never going to hurt. It doesn't cost anything. And
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, exactly. There is a financial aspect of it, and there is a like an asset, a real estate aspect of it, and that's why there are two professionals involved.
Exactly. Yep.
So that's like for the buyers, right? So just in terms of market outlook, like what are you seeing? Like what do you, I know it will be slow in the winter, but what do you foresee for 2026?
I don't know what I'm kind of seeing, and I was actually talking to a lender today, is I think, until the new year, we're going to see rates kind of tick down a little
Yeah,
bit more and more. Not a lot. I'm not going to see a big, drop or anything in basis points, but I do think it's going to keep going down a little bit and a little bit. And I'm hoping, we're kind of in the fives, maybe high fives, mid fives by, 2026, which
yeah,
hopefully can kind of spark a good 2026 for buyers and sellers. Because I think once I think just what we've seen in the last couple of years, I mean, the interest rates haven't been around seven, which they've been, most of the year, high sixes for a while. We've been used to the twos and the threes and the fours. So I think people are just, are waiting for those to come down a bit. So I think, if they get back in the fives, we're going to get a whole new pool of buyers and sellers looking to move and stuff. So I think
yeah.
hopefully, with what we've seen the last couple months of rates ticking down, that we're going to see hopefully a strong 2026.
Yeah, that's extremely valuable. So, yeah, and just as we are coming close to the end of this episode, like, are there any other points that you would like to share with the audience?
I would just say for the most part, if you haven't invested or are thinking of investing in a house, to just talk to the people around you that you trust the most, and get people that you can meet with, lenders, realtors, to teachers that are around this stuff a lot, and just ask for the most information you can. And like we were talking about, I mean, you could be closer than you think. And as an investor myself, and as a first time home buyer, I've been through most of that stuff, so I know how scary it can be. But I think the biggest thing that I always tell people is, like, if there's no risk, there's no reward. And I think the biggest thing as a home buyer investor, like, you're gonna have to risk. Like,
Yeah.
it's a big move in your life to own a property, or to buy a property, to sell a property. But I think the biggest thing is just doing it, and getting, the information to do it, and just learning, and just figuring out the best people you can use to help you learn too.
Yeah, yeah, and exactly. And I always say, like, I think buying a house, fortunately, there is a lot of compliance, there's a lot of regulation, so it does help the consumer and the buyer. Uh, like, it's not going to be a bad decision if you're qualifying for a loan, and if you're getting things, if you're liking the homes within that budget, more than likely it's going to be all fine. Like, it feels risky, but there is plenty of regulations, guidelines, and guardrails in place to ensure, like, you're not going to jump off a cliff without a parachute.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's home inspections. There's a lot of things that you can, always you have your back, or get your earnest deposit back. But yeah, I think it's definitely something people see as, super scary, which it's not scary, but it's definitely doable. And I think, yeah, if you just have the right people around you and you're informed,
Yeah.
you can really do it.
Yeah, and things cost money. Everything costs money in this world. And but yeah, if hire work with the right people, work with Alec, and it's going to be when you're working with somebody nice and professional, you're going to be in good hands.
Absolutely.
So, yeah,
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
thanks. And as we conclude this episode, what's the best way people can reach you?
The best way, I mean, Instagram, Facebook, just Alec-Skradski, Skradski. I also, yeah, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. Those are kind of the big things. You can always reach me at my email, Alec, Skradski at bhhsamb.com. Um, I'm with Berkshire, so always feel free to reach out. So yeah.
Sounds great. Thanks for spending your busy day with us today and enlightening us with everything over there. I will be visiting and, like, would love to meet up and explore more
Yeah.
about the
Yeah,
region.
if you're ever in Nebraska or Omaha, give me a call. I'd love to meet up with you.
Yeah, sounds great. Thanks a lot for coming over.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Main Street Minds. Want to share your journey with our audience? Head over to mainstreetmindspodcast.com/guest to apply.